People are way too quick to throw around labels. That being said, I think I can rightly label a lot of people as gamophobic and philophobic. Hey, this is Todd. Welcome to the Thrive Singles Podcast. Whether you're single again or still single, stop hating being single and learn to thrive. And welcome back to this week's edition of the Thrive Singles Podcast. And as always, a big thank you to all of you who have liked and shared and subscribed to the podcast or the website. And those of you who haven't, just thank you for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. Glad y'all here with me. Today I want to talk about gamophobia and philophobia. According to dictionary.com, gamophobia is the fear of marriage. And according to fearof.net, it's also come to mean a general fear of commitment. And the other pertinent word for the podcast today is philophobia, which according to dictionary.com means a fear of love or a fear of falling in love. You know, people love to toss around labels. Whether they're deserved or not is a whole different issue. It's easy today to find yourself labeled as homophobic, racist, Islamophobic, or any one of thousands of other phobias and labels people throw on you. People just love to label and pigeonhole groups and individuals. Name them, file them away, write them off. That being said, I think I can rightly label a huge percentage of people, especially divorcees, those I like to call serial daters, Generation Xers, and millennials as gamophobic and philophobic. There's been a trend in recent years away from marriage and toward relationships of a more, shall we say, limited duration. For example, I was listening to a podcast recently. In it, the host mentioned his current girlfriend. Did you catch that? His current girlfriend. I'm sure if she heard that podcast episode, she must have felt all warm and fuzzy and totally secure in their relationship. But even that's not as bad as the author. I picked up a book the other day and went to the author bio, and he referred to his girlfriend as the woman he is currently effing. I don't even know what to say. Here again, I'm sure that made his significant other feel really significant. But why? A growing segment of the population is content to settle for what they can get and they've just given up on creating a happy, stable marriage. How did we become a nation of commitment phobes? Why do modern relationships have such a short lifespan and transient nature? Must every relationship have an exciting beginning, a declining middle, and an inevitable end? And in part, this fear is understandable. A large number of 40-somethings and 50-somethings have been through failed marriages. They're scared to death of ever going through another divorce or even getting that close to anyone again. That was me and as many divorcees my age. Meanwhile, the kids who witnessed those divorces are now marrying age. They've seen the horrors their parents went through and they want none of it. Now they have a fear of commitment too. When you couple those fears with modern society's shifting morality and drift from Christian worldview, this is what you get. You get a decrease in marriage, an increase in gamophobia and philophobia, an increase in living together, and an increase in sexualized, short-lived dating relationships. It's understandable, but is it desirable? Is this what's really best for us? For our children? For our society? You can call me old-fashioned. Go ahead, I'll wait. Okay, but I believe that marriage is good for us, good for our children, and good for our civilization. Furthermore, I believe that it's in the security of a loving, secure, intimate, committed marriage that people thrive and have the best sex. How can a one-night stand or a series of transient sexual relationships ever measure up to what two people build up over decades of committing to learn to pleasure each other? So what do you think? Am I still old-fashioned? That's okay. Maybe old-fashioned isn't so bad. Maybe old-fashioned doesn't necessarily mean dull or boring or prudish after all. But let me be perfectly clear. Oh, actually, I shouldn't probably ever start a sentence that way. Every time a politician says that, it's always followed by an unbelievable barrage of obfuscation, equivocation, and misdirection. Anyway, I do want to be clear on this. When I say commitment, I mean a lifelong, exclusive commitment. Not a, hey, let's date and have sex and maybe we can live together until we don't feel like we're in love anymore kind of commitment. That's not a commitment. That's not the type of commitment that honest, loving, grown-up, mature, healthy individuals enter into. It's not the kind of commitment that leads to a healthy relationship, a lifetime of intimacy, or long-term sexual fulfillment. Part of growing up and maturing is having the wisdom to know when to commit and with whom you should make a commitment. Another part of this growth is overcoming fear in general, and in particular, the gamophobia and philophobia. Those fears keep way too many people from enjoying the benefits that you only experience in a good marriage. Unfortunately, I see too many single people refusing to grow up. I see them in their 30s and 40s with children, still acting like and dating like they're teenagers. And I see the same thing happen to middle-aged divorcees. Some never quite get over it. They live unfilled lives, racked with the fear of ever getting too close to anyone again. Now, let me give a word of caution here, though. If you're going to make a lifetime commitment, that's not the kind of thing you rush into. And it's a decision you should make while thinking clearly, not while under the influence of alcohol, romance, or sexual lust. You should have a clear idea of what type of person you want to make a lifetime commitment to. Thinking that through deserves considerable effort and time. If you haven't yet, go to thrivesingles.com, read my post about making a list, or go search for the podcast episode. I did go back and do a podcast episode for that one. Some of us learn the wrong lessons from life. My divorce could have easily taught me to never trust again. It was scary. It was risky. Once your heart gets broken, it's easy to withdraw and be overly protective. But instead, the lesson I ultimately learned was to be very careful and very selective about who to trust with my heart. Back in the 70s, Aerosmith almost taught me that love hurts. Turns out, lust hurts, and unrequited love hurts. Stupid dating games people play hurt. But instead I learned that real love, two people simply loving each other and looking out for what's best for each other, that doesn't hurt. It feels awesome. And it's worth waiting for and working toward. I want to mention one last thing. It takes time and a purposeful healing process to get to the point where loving again is possible. Two broken-hearted people form a broken and dysfunctional relationship. So in the meantime, give it some time and do the things that help the healing process. The wisest man who ever lived said that there's a time for everything, including a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. There is a time to hide and protect your heart, and there is a time to open it up again. But only to the right person, and only after you've healed and become the right person. There's a time to fiercely guard your heart. There's a time to overcome the gamophobia and philophobia and open up to the possibility of enjoying all the wonders of a loving, committed marriage. I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. See you next week. Till then, be sure to subscribe and go check out my extensive archive of past posts at thrivesingles.com. And thrive on.
Whoa, thrive. Yeah, to life. There's more to life. You gotta grow, you gotta thrive. Whoa, whoa, you gotta